Hello, it's Marshall on Marshall's Mic. This is our second podcast. We're here today with Chuck Fiorentino. He's going to tell us about his life growing up and some of the achievements he's done and where he's gotten in life and how he's done it. Chuck, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it. This is a
Appreciate
fun thing.
it.
Yeah.
It's fun. So let's just have fun.
We do that.
Chuck, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Fresno.
All righty.
Yeah, and then vacationed over here all the summers and vacation time, and knew I wanted to live here, and ended up here. So,
Right.
yeah.
What are some of the values and such you learned early on that you were going to need and use to succeed in life?
Well,
like, maybe a first job and such?
Yeah. Let me go back to my dad real quick. My dad was a CPA, very conservative man. My mom came out during the Dust Bowl. She was 4 years old from Oklahoma. So they had that conservative lifestyle, save, just those good traditional things. And even though they didn't communicate it to us verbally, we saw it, and big family, 6 kids. And so my first job was my dad got me set up doing shoe shining, for family members and friends and stuff like that. Did that for a little bit.
How old were you?
I think I was like 5 or 6. And the next thing was holidays, with mistletoe and making mistletoe with ribbons and running around the neighborhood at 7, 8 years old, and then started mowing lawns in the neighborhood. So there was always something.
Yeah. So you started early.
Yeah.
I started early too. I was telling beforehand that I was sweeping my grandfather's parts department at his dealership at 5 so I could go play in the showroom cars.
Yeah. And you did it for a reason. You didn't do it to earn money. You did it because you had something to play with or to buy or whatever.
What did that teach you?
I think the big thing was there's a lot of work that goes behind. You can't just go out and just do something and make money. There's a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. And so if you look at, the mistletoe thing, okay, great. You got to get that stuff. You got to climb up a tree. You got to wax the end of it. You got to wrap the ribbons.
So there's a lot of preparation beforehand.
Yeah, there is. There's always prep.
Right. Did you feel like you always liked to work early on? Did it kind of set a tone for you to move forward with different jobs and different things?
I don't think I liked to work, but you did it because you needed to do it, more than anything else. There's very few jobs that I've had that I've really loved and just absolutely love. You do it for a reason so you can enjoy yourself and enjoy life.
But it taught you that you needed to make money in the world.
Yeah. Be responsible.
Yeah, it's not a handout, is it?
It's not a handout at all.
You're a teacher, starting out.
Started out as a teacher, ended up as an administrator. Yeah.
Right. Who's something that got you into that path? What kind of focused you in on saying, you know what? Now, let me back up a little bit, too. You were a swimmer.
Yep. Swimming and water polo.
Okay. I played water polo. I didn't do the swim part, but I played water polo. Tough sport.
Yeah. So that started when I was about 6, and again, you're in Fresno, hot weather, summertime. Fell into the local swim club, and ended up swimming all through junior college.
Right.
And playing water polo through junior college.
Right. So that was kind of a path you were taking, sports.
Yeah, that was my path. Yeah.
And then you were thinking of going to college.
Definitely. I did it while I was going to junior college at Fresno City.
Okay.
And then went off to Humboldt. Humboldt lost their program between the summer I graduated from JC and went on to Humboldt, my junior transfer year, Title IX.
Okay. So you were playing collegiate and then they stopped.
Yeah.
Kind of like Cal Poly has recently here.
Yeah.
Of the swim program.
Yeah, and it was all about balancing, men's and women's sports programs. And so they had to make a cut. That was where they did it.
Right. So then your path was good to teaching. Who shaped that? Was there someone personally or something that got you involved in that?
Yeah, there were two things. When I was a junior at San Joaquin Memorial in Fresno, we had an elementary school right next door. And they had an elective that you could go over there and work for 1 period a day. And everybody was saying, oh, that's an easy class. You just go over and help kids and have fun. So I did that, and I really enjoyed that. I had no idea it was going to lead to teaching. And so now fast forward to getting out of college and being in a science-based program, oceanography and geology, and working that path. And after a year and a half, 2 years of working in the field when I got out of college in geology, I just said, this is not what I want to do with the rest of my life. and went back to school. And I don't know what prompted me to go back into education other than that early experience when I was a junior in high school. But I went back to Humboldt State, got my teacher credential, and that was my career.
Was there like a mentor that kind of took a hold of you and said, Chuck, you'd be pretty good as a teacher?
No, not then, but the administration route, yeah, definitely. Two people that definitely had a big influence on my career.
Who were they?
So the first one was a guy named Paul Cannon, and he was the assistant principal at a small middle school that I worked at in Half Moon Bay, Cunha Intermediate School. And Paul grabbed myself and another single man who was teaching there my same age, and we coached everything. We did the dances, and he just said, you guys need to get into administration. You've got that knack. You don't seem to be affected by having set hours of work and things like that.
Yeah.
So it stuck in my mind. And then when we came here, I came up here after 2 years of teaching there and started teaching at Judkins Middle School.
Right.
And that's the principal that really had an effect on my life. His name was John Haberlin. He had quite a storied career, both in the military as well as education.
Right.
And I would say that I emulate most of his characteristics as far as what he taught me, which is not what they teach you in school and not what most superintendents or what most school systems want.
Yeah.
But I believe it was successful.
Right. It seems different now. It seems like you're talking principles and values of what you did to learn and realize you had to work.
Yeah.
And you had to listen, and you find a mentor, and you realize,
yeah,
it's going to take a little bit more than just applying for a job.
Yeah. John Haberlin was the principal at that time, and he drugged me into his office one time and said, I want to talk to you. And I thought I was in trouble and walked in there, and he goes, have you ever thought about administration? And I go, yeah, a little bit. And so,
I was going to say, what made you go for it?
Well, he prompted me, and he told me, this is the path that you want. You're going to burn out teaching. I just know you, the way you are and how you operate, and convinced me to get into Cal Poly's program. And that was a 2-year master's administrative credential program.
Wow.
And he was also the person, because I was about ready to get out of administration after I got into it. After 3 years, I was down in Santa Maria Bonita as an assistant principal during year-round education. Okay. And John happened to be here. He had retired. He was here visiting with the staff that we had been with at Judkins. Right. And hit me pretty hard when I told him that I was going to go back into teaching. I didn't like administration. And he goes, no, you're not. He goes, no, you're not. You're going to stick with this.
He was hardcore.
He was hardcore, yeah.
Yeah. You're glad you listened to him?
Yeah, I am very glad I listened to him. Yeah. And in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of what I did and how I managed things. And
then you became principal.
Yeah.
Right. And where were you at that?
Well, I became principal mid-year. I was the assistant principal at Mesa Middle School. And we just converted it over. The principal is Bob Mostell. We were doing our first dance late September, and the assistant superintendent and HR director came in and pulled him out of the dance and trying to figure out, we got a teacher that has a problem or an issue or something like that. Yeah. Then he goes, they want to talk to you in the office. So they had a principal that had been selected to start out at Branch Elementary School that year. She had lasted about 2 months and then just left. Wow. And so they said, we want you to be the principal out there. How long do I have? This is on a Friday night at 9:00.
Monday.
I want to talk to you tomorrow morning. So that was the decision process on that. Right. I was like, yeah, okay.
Then you were there, and then you transferred, didn't you?
I was at Branch for 3 years, and I moved around throughout. The district moved me, and it seemed like it was not trouble schools, but schools that were having difficulty.
I was going to say there was probably a reason they saw behind what they were seeing in you to do that.
Yeah, and every school I went to, it was primarily an issue of, I think, just a mismatch on an administrator with a school staff. Mm-hmm. And I knew a lot of the teachers throughout the district, so my name was out there, and I think I had a decent reputation of coming in and operating a school system without changing too much.
Right. I've always looked at my teachers and principals in my life as I remember every teacher I've had from kindergarten all the way through till I went to high school. I just feel that you're giving so much, and I think it's rewarding too for you, probably, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure, I've seen people at the coffee shop. By the way, that's how Chuck and I met, was at a coffee shop.
Well, our kids were in school together.
Our kids were in school together too. We knew, correct. But I think when we first started to be more closer and, sit down. And I've seen people come up to you, and say hi, and you talk to the people as well. And I don't know, that must be a good feeling within that, you were part of kids' lives growing up.
Very much so, yeah. And having the ability to not necessarily separate work from play or your social time or your free time, but many of the best friends that I have are people that I had their kids.
Yeah.
Mark is one of them, Belton.
Yep.
There's a bunch of others that are in that branch community that I got very close to out there, that first principalship.
Yeah. Were you scared in the first part of it?
Yeah, I called this guy, John Haberlin. He was already retired in Kerrville, of all places, Texas. They're having all the issues. And he says, Chuck, this position that you're going into, it's not hard. He goes, hire good people. And he says, get the hell out of their way. And I took that to heart. So you very rarely have that opportunity to change a staff. And when you have a teacher retire or transfer or leave,
right,
you better pick somebody really good. And he also said, trust your gut. He goes,
I like that right there. Trust your gut. Seems to be right.
Yeah.
Most of the time. How did you go through school? You said you were on the swim team.
Yeah.
And then how did you fund yourself? How did you get to the next part of school and Cal Poly and such? Did your parents help? Did you have a job at the same time?
Yeah, well, school was cheap. When I went to Humboldt, it was like $60 a quarter for your registration fees. And,
wow.
You could live on, another $100, $150 between your rent was cheap if you were in a 5-bedroom house with a bunch of guys or a dorm or whatever. Just college was much cheaper then than it is now. I worked during the summers. I worked primarily in construction.
Okay.
Good friend of mine and roommate, dad was a contractor.
Where is that here?
In Fresno. Yeah.
Okay.
We would always go back for the summer.
Nice.
And he talked me in to get my contractor's license, which I never used.
You could use it now doing your remodel in your house.
Yeah, there you go.
You finished that up?
I did finish the ADU up.
Nice. Yeah. That's probably a good feeling.
Yeah.
What do you think, beyond the normal buzzwords or what have you, that fueled you to get there? I mean, I see teaching and, in principal, obviously you have to be you have to be educated, of course, but to be in a principal and administrative role, you also had to have, your ducks in a row. And kind of your take on, okay, I can take this on.
I think there's two things that are really powerful there for me. And one is superintendents come into school districts and a lot of times they want to change things and they talk and administrative programs and different venues for training and administration, school administration are all about leadership.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. That's not what I did. I never thought that I was a good leader. I thought I was a good manager.
Okay.
So again, hire good people, get the heck out of their way.
Right. Good.
And then back them up. It's like, when you get to know those people and you're a part of what's going on in the school system. The other thing is always being out there. I was out there before school, at recess, at lunch, and you see what's going on in your school rather than just being locked in your office. You got to get out there and get involved. Your staff respects that. The kids respect it. The parents respect it.
Right.
And I don't know where it came from, but I never had this process of all these rules and regulations at every school I went to. I used to tell kids respect, responsibility, and honesty. There's nothing that doesn't fit into those.
Say that again.
Respect, responsibility, and honesty.
Right.
So I've never come across anything that doesn't fit into that. A kid is playing on a playground and they're doing something wrong. Well, is that responsible? Is that respectful? Or they come into your office and tell you, it's all his fault and that kid was the responsible. Is that all? Are you being honest with me? Be honest with me.
Right.
And that's really kind of like how I've tried to live my life. I don't know where that came from. I stumbled on that somehow, and
oh, that's good sayings.
Yeah,
good ways. You say maybe you weren't so much a leader, but I think you kind of were a leader by your actions. I would think you kind of, people probably saw how you did it and everything. I pride you on not being saying manager. So many people micromanage. I think today's world. You sought out good people. Thought they'd probably be good at teaching this or being in a position here and let them do their work.
Yeah. And the successes in the schools I worked at that were, we had a literacy program at Dana when I was down there, and the teachers came to me and they said, here's what we want to do. And I was lucky enough to have an assistant superintendent curriculum, Nancy DePew. And I went there and I said, this is wildly different than anything we're doing right now. And I said, can we try it?
Yeah.
And so she said yes. And
So you kind of shaped a new style.
they shaped it.
Yeah.
I just said, I cleared the path for them.
Right.
And got out of their way and
Right.
provided the resources
You were part
that we
of
could
it.
provide. Yeah.
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 Right. What are the habits right now, your daily rituals?
Wow. Okay. Well, you've heard me say this. When you retire, you have the gift of time.
Yeah.
And that's been really special. And I tell people all the time, you never know when your health's going to go bad. And if you can retire earlier rather than later, you can always go back to work, but you may never get that health back. So I retired at 61. This is 7 years now I've been retired. And the biggest thing for me is it's given me that gift to be able to, not be in a hurry. Okay, I used to go to the coffee shop and grab a cup of coffee and run out. And I'd see these guys that were in there that were retired that I knew in the community. And
Well, I'm going to say something real quick, Chuck. You still run in and you still run out. But you do sit with us for a while. You're running in and you're running out. And then I think you go run, don't you?
yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, you look great.
I have the time to work out. I've been healthy. I've not had any big major issues. So time to stretch, time to run, time to bike, work out in the garage, time to go to the coffee shop when I want to go. And I try to limit it to a couple of days a week, but I end up being 3 and 4 and 5 days a week. And there's just a great group down there of men.
No, I started going, I think it was right after COVID. We were all let out of prison and were able to go, and I met you then. And it is a good group of guys. It's really helped me. You can slow down, take your time, listen. Everybody has their time.
Yep.
Talk about or whatever. And I always enjoyed your conversations with you on certain things we talk about, and all the other guys too.
Everybody has a different position on things.
No,
and they come
100%.
from completely different walks of
and
life.
if you're open-minded and listen, I've gained so much peace, wealth of information, a lot of information on certain things that have been tough. It's not easy in this world, whatever you're doing, and it's nice to hear other people's
Well, they talk too
point of
about
views.
extrinsic and intrinsic values and rewards in life. And I think one of the key things, no matter where you are in your life, is you've got to have some people that you can go talk to and just socialize with and let your hair down and relax and not have to worry about, your beliefs or anything.
Yeah. Well, I see you as me. See, a lot of energy. And I've always said to myself, boy, putting me in a box 9 to 5 behind a computer and looking at the cubicle and maybe getting up, having lunch in the break room and coming, it just wouldn't fit me.
Well, Marcia, we've talked a lot about you too, and I know this is about your guests, but you've done a lot of things and you put yourself out there. I'm going, there's no way I'd want to start a business like some of the things that you've done.
Yeah. No, you're right. I have. I don't know what I'm doing in this one. I could share my experiences, but mostly share guests' experiences on what they've done to be successful in life, whether it's a business, whether it's a teacher, whatever it is. I just see it being in need more. I really do. I see too much of people thinking it's a handout. So I'm just kind of throwing this out there. Trying something, like I said, different. And I think it could be a wealth of information for a lot of people.
Well, and the flip side of that is you've got this generation, and it's not everybody, because the kids are hard workers. They're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And a great story about my oldest son I can tell you later if you want to get into it. But
tell it.
Okay, we'll back up just a little bit. And you're talking about this whole thing of being successful, and it's like, it comes down to hard work. You talk to people that are successful, it's like you just got to get in there and get after it and stay after it.
Yeah.
And if you talk to people that are like CPAs, like my dad said most businesses failed because they either cheated on the payroll or they tried to take too much money out of it. They just didn't run it like a business.
Right.
And if you run things like a business, you're probably going to have the greatest chance for success.
Right.
I mean, the greatest accolade I've had as a parent is my oldest son, Michael. I know he's in the military, and I won't go into the story, but he was at Fresno State. He was in the ROTC programs between his junior and senior year. And they had a leadership, group, the 4 guys that are the seniors that are elected to be their officers the following year. he's here, he's working for Rob Gillespie, and he's, laying pipe up there at Laureana when they were building the wedding venue. And he gets a phone call, and it's this new guy who is the lieutenant colonel who's taken over the ROTC program. And he says, I hear you're involved in logistics and supplies next year. You're the officer in charge. And he goes, I need you to come over here and talk to me. And he goes, when can you get away? So Michael arranged it. Rob let him off. He went over there the following day. He calls me up and he goes, Dad, he goes, I'm coming home. And he says, I'm turning right around and I'm coming back. And I go, what's going on? I'll talk to you when I get home.
Wow.
So I thought he was in trouble. He gets back and he said the guy who had been ahead of him, who had been the logistics and supply guy for the ROTC program, had left the program and left it in a shambles. And it was, at that time, it was a layperson. It wasn't a member of the ROTC. So all this stuff, all this gear and everything, everything to run their ROTC program had not been inventoried.
Wow.
Nothing had been cleared on record. So all these kids that were graduating or trying to move on to their next year in the program at Fresno State could not do that because administration had not cleared any debts or check-in of equipment, stuff like that.
Right.
So my son goes back there and he lives on a cot. He lived on a cot for 48 hours in the supply room.
Wow.
Got it all straightened out and everything like that. He says, I basically went and got my food and came back and just kept working. And he goes, I don't know if I got more than 3 or 4 hours of sleep in 2 days. And he got it all straightened out, got all the inventory list to administration. And so that he told me this story, and the follow-up on that is the following year, the military was in a process around 2007, 2008 of reducing budget issues, things like that.
Right.
So these kids coming out of the ROTC program, most of them won active duty. They couldn't get it.
Right.
And so he ended up not getting active duty. 8 graduates, 1 guy got active duty. So now you've got to go and you've got a commitment. You've got to go to a National Guard unit or something like that. So he was really down when they graduated, and they had a symposium there of all the ROTC programs in the state at Fresno State. His lieutenant colonel, he was closing things up. His lieutenant colonel calls down on the phone and says, hey, get up here right away. Okay, great. Goes up there, didn't know what was going on. The woman who was the general of the ROTC programs in California said, Lieutenant Colonel just told me your story. He goes, I hear you want active duty. And he goes, yes. And she said, be careful what you ask for.
Really?
And so a little more small talk, he walked out. Lieutenant Colonel comes downstairs after about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and he goes, you've got active duty. And he goes, well, how'd that happen? He goes, because of what you did last summer.
Right.
And my son said, I did that because of what you taught me and what I saw you doing and how I saw you working.
I was just going to say that.
Work.
Kudos on you.
Yeah, and that's been the best.
And then your dad.
Compliment I've ever had.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Example.
Yeah.
Yeah. They see that. I know I saw it. I saw it in my grandfather a lot. He was he was a car dealer for 45 years and regiment.
Yeah.
And you're going to come to work and you're not going to be late.
Those guys are the rock stars, man.
Yeah.
It's not they're not earning $1 million or anything like that.
No, they're big time rock stars.
And they're responsible in life.
Yeah.
They found a way to manage their debt.
For sure.
Give back, do all the things that they did. And my gosh, I mean, that's the biggest thing. My dad was involved with the Catholic Church and Italian Catholic Federation. And it's one thing I don't do enough of. We do People's Kitchen once a month, but I don't give enough back to the community, in my opinion.
Oh, well, I've heard different. I mean, sure, we could all do more, but I mean, I think this will be giving back to the community. I think just listening to your stories about your kids, how you grew up and such, is all good stuff for people.
Yeah.
To me, it's giving back. It's kind of putting the word out there, what needs to really happen in today's world to be successful or to make it, and it's not given, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, even now it's not given. We know with our kids, you inherit different issues and things, and how do you navigate each one of those steps in life?
Right.
Or your parents. Right now, Mary and I are both taking care of our moms, and even though they're in assisted care, they still rely on us quite a bit.
Yeah, I just went and visited my mom. She's 87, Sacramento, had pneumonia.
Yeah.
I told you about that, and she's a fighter, man. She's been a fighter from day one. And to see her make it and pull out, and she's going home tomorrow morning. So,
and that book,
good.
Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation, that's probably one of the best books I've ever read.
What's it called?
It's Tom Brokaw's book, and it's called The Greatest Generation, and it's all about that. I would say 75-year-old up to these 100-year-olds, and coming out of World War II, and that whole era of our country. And, my dad would take us all out to dinner on a Sunday night to a restaurant and foot the bill. But yet this is the guy that would go to the house that's being constructed on the street, when the construction guys are gone, and steal all the nails that are bent, and then straighten them out and collect them,
Right.
That's just who they were, or take a 2-foot piece of 2x4 instead of going and buying an 8-foot piece at the lumber yard.
Yeah.
They
made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's special. Initiative.
And when we do the things that we're doing because of that, I think that we're conservative in general, but allows us to be free and do what we want to do in those, when we want to go play golf, or we want to go take a trip or something like that.
When did you fall on your face with a mistake? What did it teach you?
Early in my career as a principal, I would confront things, and the way that this person described it to me was really good. It was a superintendent that we had, Joe Books, and he called me in, really nice guy, and he says, I want to talk to you about your yearly evaluation. Okay. And he says, you go things like this, and he goes, like, what? And he goes, yeah, you confront things head on. I go, yeah. And he goes, that's not always good. And he goes, you have to be able to do this. He goes, something comes at you, and he goes, you got to be able to have your hand up like this and push it this way or push it this way. Ooh. And we talked a little bit about that. And that's a big lesson, because I am pretty much, it's like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And that's a thing I've had to learn, is like, okay, that parent comes in that just is blasting you.
Yeah.
Let them go. Rather than come back at them, let them go. Let them burn themselves out. Let them talk themselves out.
You think you kind of took people and said, hey, no, boom, this way.
That's how I was the first couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be in a branch elementary, and some of the people are parents and out there, and they helped me along a lot on that. And but that was, I could have easily fallen on my face had that person not said, hey, you need to do things a little bit different.
Right. Well, you listened, though.
Yeah.
You took the advice, processed it, kind of changed your mo, and kept that military, though, going somewhat. For sure, you got to do that.
It's tucked in there to keep it tamped down.
Did you ever come to a point in your career, Chuck, you just said, I want to throw it out. I want to throw the towel in. I'm done.
Yeah, I was close to that when I had left Lucia Mar as a teacher and taken my first administrative job with Santa Maria Bonita. And Santa Maria Bonita was into their year-long program because they were growing so fast they didn't have enough schools.
Yeah.
So they had 4 groups of kids.
Yeah.
There were always 3 groups there for any given 3-month period of time. And so the kids were in school 9 months and had 3 months off.
Right.
And that was really hard. And we had, at Fessler, we had 2 assistants and a principal to accommodate that. And it was just really stressful. It was during the gang period down in Santa Maria, it was really strong. There was a lot of violence and stuff in the schools. Had a couple situations that I'd go home and talk to my wife, and one that scared the heck out of me when some kids came over the fence with guns and didn't do anything, but they were after some of the kids that were gang related on our lunch recess out there. And I just got out there and got in between them, and that was instinct, because afterwards, man, I was huffing and puffing and worried that, what was I thinking? I got 2 young kids at home. And,
yeah. What pulled you back in?
Part of it was John Harberlin having a talk with me, the guy you talked about before.
Mentor.
Part of it was, what else do I do? So you're in that quasi period of,
Sure.
I don't think I can do this anymore, but I don't have anything else that I can do. So you're in that stage where you're pounding on yourself.
Yeah.
And
could be scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Like you said, you got
don't know what the next step is.
2 kids at home, you're married, you got a house and such. Yeah.
So, that was a critical period. It really was. And I'm glad that conversation that I had, I was lucky enough, just timing. And I don't know, is that God's will or what? We talk a lot about spiritual things at coffee. And I think that was a little bit of intervention on his part to say, okay, I made you suffer a little bit. Now you need to go back and figure out what you're going to do. Get back on the horse and ride it.
That's kind of like your journey. What's helped you in your journey? Community, people, what,
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, there's few friends that I have that are like family. We've talked about a couple of them, and like Gillespie's, there are very, very good friends. Their kids think that Mary and I are their second mother and father, and
Oh,
our
that's
kids are the
awesome.
same way. And it's
Right.
like we've been through so much together.
Yeah.
You know, and Pat Cusack, we've talked a lot about
Yeah.
him, and I've learned a lot of things from Pat. That
Well,
guy
both
is-
those names are very, very high in the community. They're, you could say like a model, good business guys.
Yeah.
The wives are great. I know them both. I don't know the Gillespies that well, but I've met them. And I went out to Chuck's funeral there at their site there. That was a beautiful place they have out there for events and such. And
Well, those guys, they're that, I think that we act like them, but we look at them and say we want to be more like them.
yeah,
And they're probably saying the same thing about us at times, and,
Yeah.
and things that we do. We just don't recognize those things. What is that? Humility?
right, right.
Stupidity?
Yeah, definitely. How are you involved now? Would you say, like mentoring someone? Is there some people that come to you, or do you seek out, or how are you giving back? Maybe a little bit of what
Yeah.
your knowledge is and what you've seen and done.
I still do some things with, I have done a few things with Cal Poly and gone and guest speak at some of their classes with other administrators, those
Yeah, yeah.
retired administrators to
Sharing your
teach.
advice and stuff.
Yeah, that. I've done a little bit of consulting work with local districts. There's always a shortage. There's a shortage of teachers. There's even a greater shortage of administrators the higher you move up.
Today, right now.
Yeah, the average age of a superintendent in a district is about 2.5 years in the state of California.
Why is that?
It's a really tough job. Yeah, and the assistant superintendents are right underneath that.
Right.
And then you start looking at dealing with an organization of over 1,000 employees like Lucia Maria's and trying to deal with all the human resources aspects of that organization. And our world's changed. It's
Yeah.
a much more complex situation.
Right. I get you.
So that's part of it. But the thing I enjoy most is I've had a few parents that their kids have grown up, and now those kids come back to me and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get a job in Lucia Mar, and
Right.
what should I be doing?"
Right.
And looking at their resume and just kind of coaching them, trying
Right.
to do some mock interviewing with them.
That's great. That's a good feeling too.
It is, yeah, especially
Yeah.
when they get the job. Yeah.
What's the best advice you could give someone doing what you're doing, what you've done, being that said, to get into there and to be it, what you did, maybe as a teacher, principal?
Wow. Trust your gut's a big thing. If you're a good teacher and you've got good instincts, and don't be afraid to learn from all these other people that you're around. Don't just get isolated in your classroom.
Right.
I don't care if they're the worst or the best teacher. You can learn something from them. They're doing something out there.
Right.
So whether it's something you're not going to do,
Yeah.
or something that they're doing that you'd like to include in your teaching. So, just respect those staff members that you're working with and try to find something that will help you push on through your career.
Yeah. Is that good examples?
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, just be a good person.
Yeah.
Be a good person.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be fun and
Plus, you
games.
got to like kids and such.
Yeah, I think that most teachers that are, I still think it's a worthy
Yeah.
profession, and I still think the majority of our teachers out there are doing the right thing, at least here locally.
Yeah.
I don't know about outside the area. You hear all the garbage that's on the news and things
Yeah.
like that, and you hear individual experiences. But
Yeah.
I got to say that as a whole, the teachers that I've been involved with through my career and my retirement are still really good people.
Yeah. Definitely. What's the tool you use today, every day, that you kind of have to do every day, every single day to keep it going?
Stick to your routine a little bit. That routines are really important.
Yeah.
Your exercise, your
Right.
diet, your and I don't want to say diet, nutrition.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you have a regiment like when you were working?
yeah,
That
that was,
I woke up at a certain time. I did.
yeah, I usually, I was up early. I tried to get in before my staff got in there. I always tried to stay a little bit till after most of them were gone.
Yep.
But the big thing was running.
Exercise.
I was really prevalently into running because something I could get in. But if I came home and I didn't go out right away and just drop my dress clothes and put my running clothes on and run,
Right.
Marianne would say things like to me, like, you're a bitch, so you need to get out of here.
Right.
You're being nasty to me or something like
Yeah.
that. And running just tempered that. I'd come back at a different mindset.
Yeah.
And And a lot of people have said they see me running out there and they say, I waved at you, I honked at you, you didn't give me the time of day. And it's like, that was like my meditation. It really was.
Yeah. You're focused.
It was, It just, I think it just burns all that nervous energy out of you, and you get a chance to think for half an hour, 45 minutes. So
now I hear you're somewhat of a pack rat. You're helping Marion.
The PCT.
She's quite a go-getter. This is like a bucket list thing she's doing. Tell me what she's doing again.
So Marion's doing the Pacific Crest Trail. She skipped the 700 miles in the desert. She started at mile 700. She's on mile 1250 as of today, roughly. So she's gone over 500 miles in about 42 days on trail.
Wow.
And I spent a little bit of time resupplying her. Now we're just sending out boxes.
Yeah.
She's up in Northern California above Gray Eagle. I don't know if you Sierra City. Yep. She's up in that area today.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, and this was a bucket list of hers. So she watched a movie early in age, and it turned her on. Reese Witherspoon, and
has she called and said, "I'm done"?
Not yet. She's fighting her feet and things like that, but she's just she's a marathoner. And she's not going to give up. She's a tough cookie. Way tougher than I am.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. She's accomplished. Now, you ran in the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, I've done it twice.
She as well.
She's done it 7 times.
7 times.
She wants to be a legacy runner, which is if she does it 10 times, she gets invited back for free and doesn't pay a registration fee. So
there's a registration fee?
Yeah.
Is it a hefty one?
The biggest thing is making the qualifying standards.
Yeah. Where did you qualify? How do you do that?
I qualified. I've qualified a couple of times, but I've only 3 or 4 times, but I've only done it twice. And she talked me into doing it both times.
Okay.
So one was Avenue of the Giants Marathon up in Northern California, Eureka, Humboldt, where we went to school. The other one was the marathon up in Napa, the Napa Marathon, which is a fairly flat course, fast course.
Right.
But the standards get a little bit, if you stay healthy and you can still run, when you get to be about 55, the standards get, I think, easier to meet because they want people of certain age groups in it, so they adjust those time standards versus being 30, 35 years old and having to run a sub 250,
Right. Quite a bit of discipline.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot about running your life and working from the running regimen and having to stick to a schedule and making a calendar up and sticking to it, writing lists and all the things that were successful and not successful, and doing the same thing when you're working.
Right. Well, the biggest thing it's interesting how you said I pretty much look at everything as a business. Life's a business.
Yeah.
Relationships are almost sometimes like business. A business is a business. Your daily routine, even when you're retired, it's kind of like a business. You have your set regiment, and you put it out on paper and you get it done.
Well, we hinted at that 4-letter word. You have to work at it.
You have to work at
everything. You have to work at everything.
Right. Well, Chuck, I appreciate you being on the show. Chuck's a Rio Grande native for a long time.
Yep.
Hope you all check us out, and pretty soon here we'll have another session. Get online, check us out, and become a subscriber and pass the word around. All good things are happening here at Marshall's Mike. Thanks again, Chuck.
Thank you, man.
You bet.
Enjoyed it.